Hello, folks. Nice to see you. My name is Dustin Cormier, and this is Erotic Astrology. Today, we are going to be talking about what it's like when your Mars sign is in the sign of Aquarius, and your Sun, when you were born, was posited in the sign of Aries. I'm going to do my own little spiel on this sign combination, and then I'm going to kind of unfold it through the guise of Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. Because I tend to feel that Mars being what it is, Mars being a more earthy planet, closer to Earth, closer to our bones, closer to our physicality than people tend to give it credit for. I find sexuality is a great vessel for describing how the nature of one's Mars comes out. So we're going to talk a little bit about the sexual nature about this combination at the end as well. Mars is, I take a lot of my ideas of astrology from Vedic astrology. And that to me, I often say that in these videos because that's where a lot of my conception is coming from. I'm still have Western astrology in my roots, and I don't do I don't put the signs 24 degrees backwards like some Vedic astrologers do. I use Western measurements, but I apply Vedic chart interpretation to it. And in Vedic astrology, we consider that Aquarius has a more deep rulership through Saturn than it does through Uranus. I would consider that the position of Saturn would be the true dispositor of Aquarius. That's my conception. That's me having looked into the Vedic camp and the Western camp, and that's what I'm coming through. Uranus is like a secondary planetary ruler of Aquarius. So that means that for me, Saturn is really shaping how this Mars animal impulse energy seeks to express itself. And this is a very good thing because Mars is pure will, pure capacity to express some kind of potential. But if that's not put into some kind of channel, some kind of constructive, familiar, stable channel, then it's going to be all animal impulse energy, and it's not going to be, that's what Mars needs. It's already an internal impulse planet. So its yoga is it's naturally out radiating. So its yoga is to be reined in. Note that Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which rules Mars as well. So Mars in Aquarius isn't quite the same as Mars in Capricorn, mind you. Mars in Aquarius is a little bit more individualistic, a little bit more rebellious, a little bit less willing to work hard for their own sake. For the sake of developing what they know to be the best in themselves can be. Mars in Capricorn is more naturally that, more reserved, less rebellious, less willful, less individuated. Mars in a Capricorn has a bit more of a self-reliant swagger to them. They are much more willful, although they can waste energy because of this individuatedness, this behavioral willingness to just fly by the seat of their pants. Or, they still want they want to apply logic and rational reason and slow, methodical method to everything that they do, just like Mars in Capricorn does. It's just a little bit more willing to break out of the social pattern or the status quo in order to be a unique individual expression. And that's for better or worse. Generally for better. This is a good place for Mars. It's close to, the most important thing is that, watch the Mars and Aquarius video if you want to see why Mars and Aquarius is good. And it is because it's close to Capricorn. Exaltation works by proximity. So this Mars is quite close to its best point that it can be. It's in a neutral dignity too, meaning that Saturn it's not an enemy to Mars, and it's not a friend to Mars. It's just neutral. So that being said, the placement of Saturn is going to play an important part of the expression of this Mars. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully your Saturn's close to Libra. Hopefully it's got support from its friends Venus and Mercury in particular, or a benefic moon. If it's got positive placements to other planets, then it's going to have a grip, it's going to be stable, and it's going to have what it needs in order to do what the Mars needs. This is a Mars which wants to express the desires of the Sun, since Mars is the general of the Sun. Mars is the right arm of the Sun. Mars gets us what our deep soul desires are. And this is a Mars that leans on collective need in order to be useful and to get its own resources and to get its own desires accomplished. This is a Mars in Aquarius which looks to the collective regimen, to the common people, to opportunities right outside of its door, to businesses, to jobs, manufacturing, industry, anything that's going to find a reliable, consistent application of this person's sun energy. So that's what Mars does. And so it's looking for others. It's looking for some kind of a job, a corporation to work within until it can do its own thing. But they can be very pushy about this individuated thing. This is either somebody who works very hard silently in a job and doesn't really contribute as much as they could because they're secretly thinking about their own projects that they're going to do once they get out of this crappy job that I hate so much. Either that, or they will hold off until they find some job, some art project, something that's completely their own willpower that they can manifest themselves. This is naturally Mars in Aquarius in general. Having the Sun in Aries is going to exacerbate this particular quality, and it's also going to make it much tighter. Sun is exalted in Aries. So this is somebody, to backtrack just a little bit, Mars in Aquarius is in a place where it's in the house of a neutral. That's Saturn. Mars does better in fire and water signs than it does in earth and air signs. So here this Mars, which is usually an animal impulse energy, is being constricted and squashed and sculpted by Saturn's influence. Again, this is a good thing. This is what Mars ultimately wants. This is Mars's yoga. It's the yin to Mars's yang that it wants. It wants to take this wild animal energy and control it satisfyingly into diligent, constructive, growth-promoting behavior patterns and ambitions and what have you. So the Mars is being restrained in the right way. And because it's close to exaltation, again, it's good. It's well placed, but ultimately it's neutral. And you need to look to where Saturn is to define how it's ultimately going to come out. But despite all that, you have such a good Sun here that the energy is going to... Sorry, I have to keep backtracking here. Mars being neutral in Aquarius shows that it's either going to... It's going to be an instrument for collective good. Okay? You as a Mars in Aquarius, you're going to find your energy best by delegating in group projects. You're going to find group projects where your leadership capacity can delegate this person to do this, or that I can take care of this individual part of this larger group project. And, so you could either take upon yourself a job that's not really fitting to you, or it's even a group project bigger than yourself, and sacrifice yourself in that way. Or you can be an individualist who tends to carve your own way, be an enterprising person, and find your own way. That's just Mars in Aquarius. Since you have the Sun in Aries, it's likely that you will hold off on wasting time on any pursuit that does not relate to the identity that you want to be, that you seek to project, the ambitions that you seek to climb to. Now, this can make for a very willful Aries. This is an Aries Sun again, you'll have to note that Mars is the dispositor of Aries. Mars channels the Aries energy, and the sun here is in Aries. Now that means that Mars is wherever Mars is in the chart is going to be a platform upon which the sun expresses itself. Mars being in Aquarius means that the sun's energy, what the sun does in its the sun is exalted here, and it is in the best place that it can be, at least by sign. Mars is best friends with the sun, so the sun is going to apply itself with noble discernment for the highest challenge that it could go to, and it's going to push itself to stay in that high octane challenge level. Now, the energy, the place that they're going to push themselves towards to get on top of their energy, to be on top of things, is Mars and Aquarius. Collective needs, collective group projects that need somebody delegating, pointing fingers, telling people what to do and where to go. Somebody having a mechanical mind of the human personalities that are investing their energy in this greater project. So the Mars and Aquarius has a way of knowing everyone's role and how to be useful in applying this group project consciousness. So here, this is Aries, which is Aries is already very kind of individuated. They'll work hard at something and sacrifice themselves for something, but it has to be their sacrifice. They're not going to sacrifice for someone else's sake. It has to be a sacrifice for what they know is the best thing for their dignity, for their spirit, for their inner strength. Because Aries is like they have the sense, just like any good plant, that I can give of my fruits if I am strong in my roots. Every Aries can be individual. They're very good at just knowing that I have to stand up for myself, or if I can't stand up for myself, then how will I ever contribute at all in society? How will I need to have an identity in myself that I'm going to strive to challenge myself to employ in everything that I do. And this is going to stop the Mars in Aquarius from being too superficially group-minded. It's going to stop this Aries from allowing their desire to have others be a part of their energy to obstruct their individual signature on whatever they want to do. They'll be good at working with others, good at working in a group, but they'll always be there. It's almost like the Mars here gives Aries Sun a platform upon which to not necessarily dominate, but to conquer, to do well, to look great, to shine. The Mars in Aquarius gives the Sun in Aries an opportunity to shine. And what that opportunity is that the Mars in Aquarius collects is a fecundity, a sharpness when it comes to group collective things, is using the networking, using the resources of others, being confident in conversation so people trust them when they know how to talk and to have the swagger to say, look, this is the right directive given from high above, and trust me, this is where we should go with this thing in this moment. And that's a powerful energy for the ever so individualistic, rebellious Aries to have. Can make for an Aries which is wonderfully already individualistically minded, self-challenging, and kind of egotistical, almost in the sense that they're willing to bite off a lot and chew a lot. But if you give this person their space, the energy to hack at their own individual thing that they want to do, they will find something that's probably very practical for them and is also socially useful and enticing, and is not just them making their own egotistical project that they're employing. Although ultimately it's up to your Venus and your Moon to define whether you can be satisfied in your projects. You know, this is just the Sun and Mars, which is like the ego. How do you express, do you express well the positive standing up for yourself that it takes to have a healthy projective masculine dimension of your ego, yang dimension of your ego? And this is a signature which typically is. You know, this isn't to say that you can't also be an empathic person. If you have a good Venus and if you have a good moon with good aspects to them, then you can be somebody who's willful and individuated and have this sexy swagger of your Sun in Aries and Mars in Aquarius, where you put your glasses on and you're like, what's up, honey? And you can properly, like confidently, with that hot, confident edge that Aries always has, confidently apply yourself to be this self-serving, self-interested, interesting item that's so individual, so unique, and flies by your own regard. Nobody can box me in. And that's a sexy, you know, it's like having the confidence to know that you are interested to delve into your own innovations in lovemaking, in conversation. You know, it's like, you know, how annoying is it when you ask your partner, like, you know, where should we go to eat today? And they say, I don't know. What do you think? Why don't you choose? You know, it's so much more exciting when they say, you know what? We did your thing last time. You know what? Let's get some fucking tacos. Do you feel like tacos? That's what we got to do, baby. Come on. I feel like it. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know, that exciting, like, you know what? Fuck it. This is what I feel like doing. This energy is available to you, being Aries Sun with Mars and Aquarius. And any lover of yours will be lucky to have you having the ability to give that and project that. Just always consider, you know, that empathy, listening to the other person is important too. And ultimately, you're going to know this if you have a good moon in Venus. You know, you can't define the receptive, empathic personality through Sun and Mars, but this is part of what I'm teaching with these videos, right? Ultimately, this is an energy which can be tantric, which can take directives seriously and can apply themselves in challenging ways, and they're interested in that. They want to push themselves to have challenging experiences. And as we're going to read, you know, you might be the type of person, when you apply yourself to sexuality, you might be someone who's a bit like excitable and kind of, you might enjoy a body romp in the hay and, like, you know, all of the things of, like, almost like looking at yourself in a mirror, seeing just how hard you're getting it in with this person. You know, you almost want to put sunglasses on and see yourself banging the person because there's an intrigue there. There's a desire, like, this can probably be a top energy because Mars in Aquarius fixates on the cerebral role that it applies itself to in lovemaking, and Aries enjoys the challenge. Aries enjoys being what it is. Although I know some Aries women that can project themselves as very feminine and sub, like they're like a power bottom, where they're directing their submission. That's a good way to put it. So I think the important thing to say here is that this is a directing, leading energy, and they'll lead their submission if they're a submissive person, or their domination, the conquest if they're that type of person. Usually, typically, no matter what, they'll find a role, they'll fixate on it, and they'll apply it heavily in their exciting romps with whoever they're getting with. And BDSM, this sort of energy, top and bottom thing, they might even apply it in different ways. This will usually be a part of their consciousness, especially with men, you know, trying to get that top energy out and seeing themselves as that and applying that. This is an energy that can be very good for fixating on this role and challenging themselves to get the most out of it, to push themselves through it. Even can be kinky from the Mars and Aquarius, as we'll see here. So I just gave you guys my spiel on it. Now we're going to get into Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. This is a combined reading of Sun in Aries with Mars in Aquarius. You may be a maverick and a nonconformist in the Mars and Aquarius way, but you're not a loner. Mars and Aquarius appreciates the application of the mind, Mars, the pushing of their mind, to be individual, to have the freedom to apply their mind in whichever way they want. But they don't want to do it alone. You as an Aries in particular. Aries, the seventh house from Aries is Libra, and they find like Aries is aching to relate with people, even though they want to do it from an individuated perspective. Aries is not a loner. They want to prove themselves constantly to people. In an intimate relationship, in an intimate relationship, friendship and intellectual rapport are as important to you as love and romance. Still, there's nothing dull or boring about your approach to lovemaking. And sex with you is likely to be intense and frequent. Aries is just bursting from the seams with sexual ardor in a lot of times, in a lot of ways. Although they can discipline themselves to, if sexuality is something for you, which is more of an alchemical internal significance, then this is somebody who the Mars and Aquarius can be very objective and detached and apply yourself in that way. So, this is just something to think about. Aries has sexual energy. It doesn't mean you need to apply it externally. For most people, I think you probably will, though. Although you might be lacking the patience for sultry, seductive scenes, you don't hesitate to experiment with different sexual techniques and planes and ways of expressing it. Between the sheets, you prefer slightly bawdy, rough and tumble romps to overly sweet and sentimental lovemaking. It's generally true. Although, again, if you've got the Venus and Moon in the right place, you could make for a very sentimental, romantic person. Although, ultimately, when it comes down to you getting in the bed, expressing yourself at your most lighted, excited, and natural, there will probably be a bit of a grip and a bit of a roughness and a rawness that is delicious, because it's a good, like the Aries especially, the Aries Sun, combined with a Mars, which is again being reined in by Saturn in order to apply that animal energy in a willful way. It's almost like it's intense for you to hold in how much energy you have, because the Sun in Aries has just got Mars energy. It wants to apply it somewhere. But this Sun, being in Aries, is good at applying it in discerning ways, not wet, loose, willy-nilly going out to whatever. The Mars makes you want to apply it nobly and for warrior-like, challenging purposes. And Saturn, constraining Mars, is exactly what this Mars needs in order to apply the Mars in the way that the Sun wants to. Pretty deadly combination, all things considered. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. I love telling people about their signs, and this is once Mars, Mars is close to its exaltation point here. So this is part of the series where I can kind of tell people that they've got a good Mars, and that I like that because I like telling. I'm a Leo rising, so I'll be sharp, and if you watch the Mars and Cancer videos, Mars and Leo, I'm a little bit tougher because Mars doesn't do as well there. It's just the way astrology is. Nobody gets marks just for being born. Karma has its ups and downs, but ultimately you can never feel judged or judge anyone for their chart, because somewhere down the line you're going to die in this life, you're going to come up in the next life, and it's going to be what it is. You're going to have to deal with new karma. So everyone is in the place that they are for a reason. Anyway, I digress. I could go all philosophical, but I gotta go eat some food. So thanks for watching. I'm Dustin Cormier. Let me know in the comments if you liked this. Feel free to comment, like if you liked it, and feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed how I do this, because I always got more stuff coming through, folks. See you guys on the laters. Thanks for watching.